Thank you, Raylan. And so nice to see everybody here. Welcome to our Dharma Sunday, and welcome to my apartment, my little apartment here in Hawaii, where I am at the moment. And it is raining and very stormy outside. And I'm often outside for Dharma Sunday, but not today. Today I am going to be in here. And in that sort of spirit of being in cocoon, I don't know how you guys are doing where you are on the East Coast, Midwest, mountain areas, and West Coast, and beyond. I see uh, Prasad here, so could be coming in from Kathmandu, or maybe you're on the mainland right now. But yeah, so wherever you are, you may be cocooned like I am in the spring, or you might be not. But in that spirit of feeling cocooned, I moved to do some music this morning, some playing of the music and doing some mantra before our practice. So for those of you who are new to Dharma Sunday with Natural Dharma Fellowship, I will be doing the first half hour will be a guided practice together, guided meditation, guided practice. The second half hour will be the Dharma talk, which today is on the art of Whelm. And the third half hour, I want to open it to the group to hear from you and to hear what you bring to the field, and I will respond. You know, it's interesting. I've noticed this phenomena that now that I've been on Zoom for, we've all been connecting to teachings through Zoom since the beginning of the pandemic. One of the patterns I've noticed is that often people will stay for the talk, and then once the Q&A starts, they disappear, they drop out. Now, not everybody, but there's some, kind of attrition at that point. And I've been wondering why that is, because for me, that is the most juicy part of the Dharma Sunday, and the juicy part of the teaching or the retreat is when we begin to interact in the field and to receive the flow or the input that Sangha brings to the Dharma and to the teachings. And it brings out of me things that I wouldn't have thought to have said or respond to. Um, yeah, so just if you're in the habit of disappearing at the Q&A, to consider staying. If you're in the habit of doing that, to see what that field brings to the teachings, because for myself it usually brings out the best part of what is juicy about the topic, or it fills in the gaps that have been left by the limitations of a single consciousness reflecting on this particular topic. And because the Dharma is actually relational, this thing that we call the Dharma, or the spirituality of our lives, is a relational spirituality. It's a relational Dharma, if you will. Mm. So we're going to start with practice as we do. So I just want to begin by encouraging you now to find your place for your body where you're comfortable for practicing meditation. And we're going to start with some chanting with this harmonium, which I've been working with for the last few years quietly in my own way. I've been developing a practice of singing and chanting before my practice of the meditation, and I want to share some of that with you. So this morning's chant, this morning's kirtan, if you will. Kirtan is a Sanskrit word that refers to this chanting of mantra with music, with sound, and it's something that us Buddhists we do that, but we don't do it so much with this instrument, with the harmonium. But I do love the harmonium for its ease, and it just so I've been developing some chants with it. So this is a gate chant. This is the chant of Prajnaparamita. So while you're getting in your position for practicing for meditation, maybe turning a little bit away from the screen or keeping the screen in your side view, I want to put the chant here in the, oh, yes, in the chat. And I'm going to put it myself because I want to put it in the order that I'm going to chant it. So you can join the chant and chant along with me. It's not the usual order of this mantra. It's pieces of a mantra building into the whole thing. Okay. So I'm going to do that whole series there twice and then end with the 3 ohms. Okay. Maybe put this here. I think you'll follow along. You'll see. So a little bit about Prajnaparamita. Prajnaparamita means perfect wisdom, or the wisdom that has gone to the other shore. Paramita. Para means the other, beyond, mita. Paramita. Other shore. So wisdom that has gone beyond, a wisdom that has transcended, a wisdom that has blown apart the illusion of duality. That's what Prajnaparamita is in its ultimate sense. It's that wisdom. And then what is it in the relative sense? In the relative sense, Prajnaparamita, this wisdom, is given a form in the Buddhist tradition of a goddess. The goddess Prajnaparamita is a goddess of wisdom, and she's holding a sacred text, and she's holding a mala, and she's holding her hands in Anjali. She has 4 arms. Two of them are holding a text and a mala, and 2 of them are in Anjali at her heart, Prajnaparamita. And so when we're singing, we might want to feel that we're singing to the great mother, to the goddess of wisdom, or we might feel that we're singing to the formless, to the non-dual awareness that is behind that wisdom. So whatever speaks to you, whatever opens your heart, is in the spirit of the kirtan. All right. Nice to see you. Please join me as I sing. Let's do that again. And feeling the spirit of that goddess wisdom that is beyond our thinking mind, the ordinary mind. And if the chant has brought into your field this sense of the sacred, your field of refuge, of benefactors, kind ones, basking in that radiance, letting that transport you in the words of the Prajnaparamita mantra, Gatte, let go, Gatte, let go, Aragatte, fully let go, Arasamgatte, completely, fully let go. Bodhi, awaken, Svaha, from the deepest self, letting go of the past, letting go of anticipating the future, letting go into the timeless now. letting go of following after thoughts, letting go of pushing thoughts away, letting go into things just as they are, letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to be perfect, letting go into being with yourself just as you are. Gate, gate, aragate, arasamgate, bodhi, Ah. And then you notice the energy rewinding itself around something, like the tendril of a vine winds itself around something. You notice that energy winding up again, grasping at a thought, grasping. You notice and let go, let go. Refuge in this great letting go. So it's Dharma Sunday. Um, the topic, overwhelm. And whelm It's something that I've been reflecting on lately. I think that we're living in an age, we're living at a time when we have an epidemic of overwhelm. And I've been reflecting on how that is or why that is. And when I was a kid, I was always a very I was a very reflective little girl. I was an only child uh, for most of my life, um, most of my young life. And so I spent a lot of time alone. And those of you who, some of you here might have grown up that way. If you grew up as an only child, I think most people have brothers and sisters, but if you happen to grow up with as an only child, like I did, you have to learn how to entertain yourself because there's nobody else around to to bring the ideas and the creativity. If you're spending hours alone every day as a child, as I did, waiting for my mother to get home from the lab. She was a scientist, waiting for her to get home from the lab. Um, a latchkey kid, let myself in after school, and there was probably 3 or 4 hours in there where I was alone every day. And I would use that time to do many things. Talk to my plants, play classical music for my plants, talk to them. I had a bunch of plants that I was very attached to, like humans. And so I would spend my time playing classical music to my plants, talking to my plants, reading. I did a lot of reading and putting on music and laying on my back and getting immersed and lost in it. The Beatles, Elton John, uh, and uh, James Taylor, Joan Baez, 70s, Berkeley, um, watching the dust motes float through the sunlight and creating worlds of imagination there. So uh, a lot of us grew up, some of us grew up with no cell phones and no internet, and a lot of us here did. Um, there wasn't a lot to overwhelm me as a child. I'm remembering that. Do you remember that? The life when we didn't have a lot to overwhelm us, or what we were overwhelmed with, we would have to pick it up ourselves, pick up the book or pick up the newspaper and read it and open it and engage with it. And um, I think that we live in a very complex society, and now we live in a culture in which information is streaming at us. It's streaming at us through our phones. It's streaming at us um, through our screens, through the screens that we work on, and that we communicate with our family with. We used to stay connected are also the screens that connect us to this wider flow of constant information, whether or not we want it to be there. It's in our inbox. So I just want to point that out. I just want to point that out first, that if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's worth considering the sources of overwhelm and 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 separating ourselves from that really intentionally. Not that we don't need to stay connected. Oh my gosh. Yesterday was a big day for being connected. Yesterday was the hands-off day, and um, and here in Hawaii, where I am now, quite a few of my friends were there. I didn't go. I have a lot to had a lot to do, but people went, and it was powerful. Um, People marching in the street, people expressing. So we have to stay connected to, to the world, but we also need to stay connected to our own world. And that's that interesting balance. Um, so overwhelm, yeah, just um, been very present for me lately, and I've been noticing for myself that a lot of the overwhelm comes from my ideas of what I need to do and accomplish and finish, and how I need to be involved and how I need to be attentive and aware. And then how to separate myself from that too. We have to separate, we have to make times when we completely put that aside, or we will live in overwhelm. So, anyway, I've been thinking a lot about overwhelm, and I've been thinking about what the word means. Whelm. Whelm is this word that means to turn something upside down or to engulf, to wave over, to submerge. Overwhelm means to submerge from above and underwhelm from below. Whelm is this wave-like motion, and it's relating to our being. Whelm. Whelm has something to do with stimulation and with being emotionally moved. And in the case of overwhelm, we're being overcome with stress and anxiety that challenges our ability to cope. That's what overwhelm more or less means. The wave of stuff, whether it's the stuff or whether it's the internal pressure, comes over us and we feel submerged and we feel powerless, helpless. We all know that feeling. And that's a feeling that I've had, um, well, we've all had our whole life at different times, but lately a little more than usual. When I say lately, I mean like last 10 years. And a lot's happened in the last 10 years, as it has for you too, I'm sure. Um, but part of what's happened is this acceleration of the pace that has been pushed by our devices and our connection to technology. This acceleration, we cannot possibly keep up with that pace. We're not designed, we're animals. We're not designed to move at the speed of technology. So I think there's something about what's being modeled in front of us, the pace of what's being modeled, and the pace that's sane as an animal and that's nourishing for us as animals. And so I want us to I want to reclaim my pace. I want to reclaim my animal pace. And I want to do that as a kind of a radical act of defiance of the pace that is being modeled for me in the case of technology, and even in our models in our society of what it means to be an efficient citizen, to get things done. Yeah, we do have to get things done. But we also have to claim, especially as practitioners and practitioners of mindfulness or practitioners of a spiritual life, we have to actually actively claim our space. And when I say claim a space, I mean claim this non-reactive space that we create when we practice meditation. Claim slow pace. Reclaim the sane pace, and to protect that fiercely in our lives. And I think if you're a practitioner of meditation, you've already grappled with that, because even to find the time to practice, you have to maintain a boundaried space. You have to create your own boundaried space in which you're allowing yourself to actually come into intimacy with the present moment, and to make that a priority over the checklist mind, or the mind that feels that there's always something more important to do. So I'm feeling this urge to push back against what I imagine or see or experience as the pace, a frenetic pace modeled by the technologies that I'm a part of, encounter, and to do that by turning off those devices for periods of time every day, every day. So Whelm, I want to also point out that Whelm, so in doing the research for this talk, doing some reading about Whelm, I discovered that at least on the internet, Whelm is often framed as the same as overwhelm. But in digging more deeply into the word whelm, actually, whelm doesn't mean overwhelm. Whelm means a surge of feeling. It means a surge of feeling. Whelm is the stimulation. And so whelm can be quite wonderful, not always bad at all. It can have quite a good tone. You can be whelmed with joy. You can be um, pushed or moved by the spirit of joy. That's whelm, right? So whelm is that sense of being stimulated or overcome just a little bit, not a lot, not like overwhelm, but the feeling of being stimulated or pushed by feeling. And so I want to think about replacing our sense of overwhelm with whelm, and connecting to the part of that feeling when we feel overwhelmed that we can retain or relate to. And that is the openness to being moved, the openness to being stimulated, to being carried away by something that is nourishing and that is powerful, like um, like encountering the mystery and the joy and the unpredictability of the natural world, and letting that whelm us, letting that uplift us, letting that carry us, letting that wave over us, instead of the overwhelm. So how can I find whelm instead of overwhelm? How can I find those things that infuse me with inspiration, in the same way that a wave uh, awakens you, startles you, and opens your eyes, right? I am spending some time close to the ocean now, so I've watched those waves a lot when I'm down there, and experience being bowled over by a wave. it is very awakening. It's very stimulating. And so letting ourselves be bowled over in that way and figuring out what brings whelm into our life and what brings overwhelm, right? So starting to ask that question, what brings whelm and what brings overwhelm? And bringing more of the whelm, more of the novel experiences, more of the encounters with the mystery and the unpredictability of the natural world, more interactions with animals. You know, animals communicate in this totally different way than we do as humans. They have so much to teach us. Um, more um, bringing your body into novel contexts where you experience things in a new way, see through new eyes, whelm, finding finding the places that stimulate you and open you to wonder, whelm. And then noticing that the difference between that and the feeling of being bowled over by our own sense of responsibility through our own self-management, right? Our checklists and being burdened, the feelings of burden that we have when we're overwhelmed, overwhelmed. So just noticing the difference between that whelm and that overwhelm. How can we bring more whelm? And how can we also titrate? You know, we do have responsibilities in life. And I think for some of you now, I was thinking about why do I feel overwhelmed often? Why do I feel overwhelmed in my life, in the day to day? And part of it, when I'm self-reflective about it, it has to do with my own self-talk about being responsible and being good at what I do or being um, performing well, you know, because we have real responsibilities in the world. We have real things that we do have to do if we have a job or if we have a, you know, in my case as a teacher, I have my checklists, I have my, you know, things that I need to be doing, my programs that I need to be writing up or submitting, or or the people that I need to be seeing, or the connections that I need to be maintaining, and also my own practice and my own work on that, and providing the context for Sangha, you know, to be possible, or showing up for the meetings that I need to attend, and so forth, right? So those things, you know, often I think people don't think about that when they think about someone as a Dharma teacher. They don't think about that there's a lot going on behind the scenes to be that and to be doing what I do, and you too, doing what you do. Even just living life in this particular time is a big job, right? Doing our taxes, huge job. These things that we have to do just to be awake and alive and embodied and legal in this life. It's a lot to hold all that. I have to say that is a half-time job on top of our half-time jobs that we're having, or full-time jobs that we have doing whatever it is that we're doing. So so a lot of it comes from the internal pressure of trying to be a good citizen, so to speak. So that, how do we deal with that? And for myself, you know, I've been working a lot with just that, again, that creating of the boundaries where I prioritize shifting my attention from the what needs to be done then for the future to what needs to be done now. And what needs to be done now, I mean really now, is to be present, to be here, to be embodied, to be connected to the people around me and to the present moment around me. So that's very much a priority. If you're a practitioner, it's to be here now. So making constant room for that, be here now, And that might be many small moments through the day, many small moments through the day. But I also just want to say, so I actually came up with 5 sort of principles that I've been working with because I was trying to summarize it for this teaching. Like what is it that's helping me to not be overwhelmed? So I want to share those. How to shift from overwhelm to whelm. Whelm being the positive side of overwhelm, feeling stimulated, awake, eh, connected to wonder. So first is to shift my attention to the present moment from future and all the things that need to happen to what needs to happen right now, which is to be present right now, really present. So the first is shift my attention to the present moment. And the second is to practice gratitude. Um, Shift to what I have and what I have done instead of what I am not and I haven't done. So gratitude for everything that is right now. So looking around my room, my environment, I have a roof over my head. I have food in the refrigerator. Not very much, but I have some. It's been a while since I checked. So, but I have this body, and for the most part it's healthy. And even if our body isn't healthy, parts of our body are healthy, right? So maybe we're struggling with illness. We're really facing something really difficult, but there's some part of us that is really okay, right? Yeah, I just want to name, there are times when we can feel really, really burdened, but there's always something we can be grateful for. So really listing those things. So that's the second thing, practice gratitude. The third, I take discrete tasks one at a time and then offer myself credit after accomplishing each one. I think that's even more important than accomplishing what the things are, because we're not very good at offering ourselves credit for what we did do. And I've been working on that one, and that connects to an old Dharma practice that I used to do when I was a nun, and back in the days when I was a monastic. I just want to connect this to the Dharma because it is a deep Dharma practice to do that, actually. When I was a monastic and I was in a long retreat, one of my teachers who was teaching us during this long 3-year, 3-month, 3-day retreat said to us in one of the teachings, he said at the beginning of every day, um, you set your intention to live the day well. And at the end of every day, you should do 2 things. First, review your day, and where you didn't do well, where you fell short. And when I say didn't do well, I don't mean like didn't accomplish the tasks on your checklist, because it's certainly in the spiritual context that does not count as not doing well. Not doing well is unskillful or not compassionate thoughts, speech, or actions. Um, in general. In general, that's what he really meant, is things that were not in harmony with the essence of bodhicitta, the essence of kindness. So where we fell short in terms of being kind or being compassionate, caring, that's what we would, at the end of the day, he said, then confess it, meaning disclose it to yourself and let it go. Okay, I didn't, and then make a commitment to do better the next day. And then he said, but equally important, so looking over your day, what you didn't do well, equally important, what you did do well, what you did accomplish, what you did do in alignment with bodhicitta, the kindness and the care and the compassion, rejoice, rejoice. And I realized when he said that, that's something I had not been doing at all. I did not even know that was a practice, to rejoice at the things that you do that are accomplished or are good or are skillful. And so I've been making this practice lately of rejoicing, taking the time to pause at the end of doing something, even a task, even a menial task that I'm doing for the benefit of my work or for the benefit of the Dharma, right? Because it's a bigger context for your work too, bigger context, the benefit of others, the benefit of your community, the benefit of, to take a moment and to just, give yourself a pat on the back for that. You did that. Good job. And love yourself up. Love yourself up for a minute there. Give yourself some good loving around that. It makes it much more fun to be doing your checklist when you're giving yourself some good loving when you check something off, right? So take discrete tasks one at a time and offer yourself credit after accomplishing each one. That's 3. The 4th, turn to connection. When you're feeling overwhelmed, ask yourself, because a connection is a priority. Because we're often turning towards our screen when we're overwhelmed, or we're turning towards our checklist. Our eyes are down on a piece of paper or something, or they're down, maybe not literally on a piece of paper, they may be down internally. They may be down internally, ruminating on what it is that we need to do, or that there's too much, or I just feel completely like I'm at sea, I'm completely drowning. I'm drowning right now. We're ruminating on that. Turn your eyes outwards and find a being to connect to. A good friend, someone in our family, pick up the phone and call your sister, whatever it is, reach out to be connected to the human realm or the animal realm. Go find your dog, snuggle with your dog, snuggle with your cat, move towards connection, move away from that rumination and that sea that you feel like you're drowning in. And then the 5th one, focus on embodiment. And what I mean by that is overwhelm is often a very mental state. We are very caught in our conceptual mind. Move into your embodied experience, which might mean getting out and taking a walk, or it might mean getting on your bike, going for a ride, doing yoga. Move into the embodiment in this present moment and what that means, getting into your body and into your experience of feeling and sensing and moving, or maybe opening your senses up. Get out into nature. So those are my particular shifts, how to shift my overwhelm into whelm for myself, into whelm, where I start feeling, enjoying the stimulation of being alive and not feeling drowning in being alive. All right. So those are just for whatever that might help, if that might help. And I realize time is a ticking right now, and I want to pause and open it up to you for questions or comments. What helps you feel less overwhelmed? And how are you working with overwhelm? And this idea of whelm, does it speak to you? And how so? I want to reclaim the whelm in my life. Hi, Gwen.
Go ahead and
Oh,
unmute, Gwen.
I really appreciated this today because I looked up Whelm. Sorry, my dog's here. Anyway, Tally out. Out. Go. Anyway, I looked up Whelm, and so I was excited to see how you wove it in. And I've been, when I've been overwhelmed, I found on Spotify some Himalayan Buddhist chants of compassion, and I'll put it in the chats. But all I've been able to do when I'm in the car or something, instead of ruminating, is just put those on. And there's one to Avalokiteshvara, and there's about 5 of them, and they chant them in Himalayan Tibetan, and they do it 108 times with some musical interlude in between. So when I'm feeling like empty, when I put those on, it just helps ground me and bring me back to a wonderful place. So thank you for starting today with a lovely chant that you shared with us. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. Yeah, please put it in the chat. Let's share what our doorways from overwhelm into whelm. And I'm gonna let Raylan help me with the hands, because I don't know the order. Thank you, Raylan.
Justine.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Justine.
Hi. I really appreciate you sharing your childhood memories, because even though I'm the oldest, my siblings and I are far enough apart that we were all sort of only children. And
Yes.
I grew up in Florida, and outside my window was a beautiful tree, a Chinaberry tree. It's also known as a Persian lilac. It was the only real tree in the neighborhood because, there's always these palm trees and things. Those are not good climbing trees, right? Right? So I had this sort of really special relation to this tree as a kid, and I would actually climb out of my window at night and climb the tree and sort of commune with this beautiful tree and the sky. Like Florida has such beautiful skies. And what you're teaching brought that to mind for me, because I feel like that was a time when, as a child, I was very much listening to myself, and I did not care about the speed at which other people were coming at me. I was going at my pace. And so I feel like the other message of this is to grow downwards as much as up. And the other thing I discovered recently with doing some sort of word etymology research is that the root for the word tree and the word truth are the same.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, and also just Justine, appreciating the child in us, and just thank you for bringing the child into the space this Dharma Sunday. I think the child in us knows how to be centered and remember. We can remember back to that. We all have that inner child, and we can start listening to her again. Very important, actually. She'll tell us other things to do, she will guide us differently than the adult self. And there's some really important lessons to be learned from the inner child. I think around this particular topic, we knew we were moving at the right pace as children. We were listening to our bodies and to our experience. We were moving in that way. So we can reconnect to that. I appreciate. Thank you, Justine, for bringing that in.
Thank you.
Drupan Prasad Putter.
Hi,
Hi,
Lama
Prasad.
Willa. Hello. Like you said, like so much that, I feel like, maybe we should have a chat about some of this sometime, especially like why do people sign off when it's Q&A? I think that that's a big subject especially for teachers. Um, but, I looked up a lot on Google while you were talking about Whelm, because overwhelm is overwhelm. But whenever I don't really get something, I always think of the opposite. And there's overwhelm and underwhelm. And that reminded me of a Bruce Springsteen song, which says 57 channels and nothing's on. And if you go back to the 80s when there was first cable TV, first there were just 3 or 4 channels. And then with cable TV, there were like 100 channels, and this guy singing 100 channels and nothing's on. Well, now there are 1 million channels and still there's really nothing on. And we really think there's something on because of what we're attached to, at least for me. And, Lama Will knows I spend most of my time living in a monastery. I'm not there right now. But, it's like there's all this stuff going on mentally, but what's really, really, really important, and there's really nothing on. Like everybody has their opinions and everybody wants attention and everybody wants you to watch their channel so they can have advertising and make money. And you just get sucked into all this. And then like hands off, I had no idea what hands off is. Like I saw on Facebook, one of my brothers posted a whole bunch of stuff. So I didn't even know there's all these protests going on against, what the government's doing now. So that gets me to think about, oh yeah, like all the liberals really don't like Donald Trump and all the conservatives didn't like Joe Biden. And, what's this really all about? So, you know, for me, like to get out of it, I just have to be in my body. And I just have to be in my body because you know what? I feel tight. I feel open. I feel relaxed. I feel what I feel. And, am I reacting to what's really what I would call bodhicitta? Or am I reacting to the way someone thinks it should be? So I don't know. That's what I have to say. So thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you, Prasad. Nice to see you. And thank you for the body reminder. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
buddy.
Yeah, good to see you. Take care.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you so much, Lama, for the chant that we started with. So I have just a couple things. One is a quick question. When I've practiced with Lama Jersum, and he does the Prajna Paramita thing, he always begins the chant with Teata. And I always wondered what that meant. That's just a little thing. If you can answer that, that's great. But I did want to say about overwhelm. I feel like it's an addictive thing. Like it's so hard sometimes to slam the laptop shut and turn the phone over and go out and play or whatever. I feel like it gets this hold on you that is very hard to break at times. But for me, my antidote is soil. I love to
Mm,
garden. And I love plants. And
mm,
I love the soil. So if
mm,
I can get myself to that, then I'm in a really good place. I mean, other than I do boundary for my practice in the morning.
mm,
There's no devices until after practice is done and dedication is said. So I
mm.
can do that, but during the day, it's, when I'm not working. So
Yes. Well, even recognizing the addictive quality of those devices is a really important step to notice that. And that's built in to these devices. They are built to draw us in. And even knowing that can be that actually helps my ability to close it because it makes me just a little edgy towards it. Like, no, I don't like that someone programmed this phone to be addictive. That's very irritating, isn't it? I mean, I don't know, it's an irritating thought for me. So that helps me turn it off. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not going to be bowing to those apple gods. I'm going to be bowing to some other gods of the garden god, right? So, recognizing that we've been programmed. Not the computers are not the only thing that are programmed. We're getting programmed. And so if we understand that, we can deprogram too. We can take control of our programming. And I'm not saying, I mean, I use these devices too, like you do, particularly because it's how I stay in touch with the peeps, right? With our peeps. It's how we stay in touch with our peeps. I think that's what keeps us connected there. And we do need to stay in touch with our peeps. But it's about that recognizing the addictive quality and you can use that recognition to your advantage. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Tom, for sharing that.
Oh, and Teata. What does Teata mean?
Oh yeah, Teata, yeah. That is one version of the chant. There's also a version, it's Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate. There's a version where it's Teata Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Buddhi Swaha. Teata means it's an epithet for Buddha. Teata is an epithet for Buddha. So Buddha is all mantras don't string together as a sentence. It's like syllables. So, but Teato would be, Holy Buddha, gone, gone, gone beyond, gone completely beyond.
So sort of like
Yeah.
Namo Tassa, right? Buddha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
thank
Yeah.
you. Solving
I
that
think it's yes. I think it's talking about Prajnaparamita being a Buddha, right? Maybe that is connected to that deity side of Prajnaparamita.
Thank you, Lama.
Yeah.
Emma Daly.
Hi. Sorry, I'm not in a position to be on camera right now, but
No worries.
I want to say that when I am experiencing mental overwhelm, I definitely find the embodiment things helpful. But sometimes my overwhelm actually comes from my physical experience, whether from pain or from environmental overstimulation. And I think sometimes I find myself turning to my device as a distraction, as a way of not being so overwhelmed by the physical pain. But then, of course, it kind of feeds into these other things. And, and there are non-device things that I can do to actually be less in the pain or the overstimulation. But I wonder if you have thoughts about like when the overwhelm is actually coming from our bodies.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good observation. Yeah, I think I mean my way of dealing with overwhelm when it's in the body is slowing down and turning towards what's going on in the body. I think there's a lot to be learned from whatever's happening in your body when you feel that way. Um, and and a lot to be learned from befriending the pain and befriending the discomfort. And there is a place for distraction. So I think, there's levels of pain, and there are times when we need to distract ourselves from that. If being in it is compounding our suffering, then we can distract ourselves skillfully from that. So I don't want to put a recipe on that. I don't feel like I can even respond to that with a recipe, but I think that I'm grateful that you brought it up, and and there can be an interesting uh in some cases with removing the distraction and going more deeply into whatever's going on in the body and experiencing it and turning it into a place of rest and reflection and starting to parse the difference between the pain and the resistance to the pain, and getting into that. But then there's also something to be said for distracting yourself from it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I
Thank you.
appreciate that you brought it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. And it is a good reminder that I think sometimes what's overwhelming is not necessarily the physical experience itself, but the resistance to the experience.
It can be the resistance, right? I think that's the piece that can help us to go towards it if that's the case. Yeah, that
Yeah.
we can learn to relax that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
Susan.
Hi, Lama Willa. I really appreciate your talk today. It's very, very useful. And something came up in my meditation. I'm kind of wondering about kind of reverse engineering it to get into whelm from overwhelm, which is that when I'm moving through my energy body, feeling it reconnecting the pieces, and I get to this moment where the word ah arises and I feel this joy. And I'm wondering if when one is overwhelmed, could you reverse engineer and use that ah to come back into less overwhelm? Or is there like anything in the
Yeah.
Buddhist teachings?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think so many of the Buddhist teachings, the mantra, the practice of ah, are resets to go from that state of being dysregulated to going back into regulation, or overwhelmed to whelm, dysregulated to regulated. And ah is one of those reset techniques. Yeah. Yeah. Or any kind of mindfulness practice. It could be, it could be something as simple as, doing a mudra with your arms,
Okay.
right? Or a shake, or like a hatruk, what we say in
Mm,
Tibetan yoga, shaking the body all over and your reset. And so yeah, I think there's a lot that can be done that way. But seeing that, I love what you're saying, which is actually seeing those techniques.
mm,
Um, ah is one of them. Um, resetting attention on the breath is one of
mhm,
them. Doing a movement like that movement with the arms, or a all over body shake, or so many different,
mhm,
particular Dharma practices and reboots, that those can get us out of overwhelm, like connecting that to our overwhelmed state. So I really appreciate what you're saying there, that you like the ah is a reset from the overwhelmed state. So we could start asking ourselves, what is going to be my reset technique when I'm overwhelmed? And then
mm,
having a few techniques that we use to go from overwhelm to returning to an embodied, mindful, present, open, joyful state
mm,
in a little reboot. And what is that going to be? What is it going to look like? So asking yourself what your reboot has been in your
mm.
Dharma practice or your meditation practice. Yeah. Thank you.
I really do appreciate everything you said. And when you were talking about uh, the problem with the culture we're in and the computers and stuff, I find people get very angry with me when they said, well, I sent you an email. And I say, well, I'm not on my computer every day. you know, like, what's wrong with you? You should have seen my email, and I'm not working, I'm retired, and I'm not in that mode anymore where I have to be on my computer. And it's like if you're not like right on top of things, people seem to feel like you're not doing your due diligence or something.
But you may be modeling for that person a different way of being by saying, I don't read my email every day. I don't go in there every day. That's showing them there is a possibility of living that way at the right time of your life. It's so different for each person, because some of us are, or we need to be connected because it's our work or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's actually, that's a beautiful thing. I have to say I'm in that category too, Susan, where I am at the point where I just say I have to tell people I do not check my inbox very often. And that's getting more and more common, I think, because of the barrage of information that we are exposed to by virtue of the speed of the technologies that we can't always keep up. And that will probably be the norm eventually.
Mm.
Oddly, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all
Thank you.
so much for coming this morning. And I'm wondering, Raylan, do you have some announcements? And also, can we dedicate
Absolutely.
using our chant? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just had a quick announcement on Dana. So one of our practices at Natural Dharma Fellowship is we practice Dana, which means generosity in Pali and Sanskrit, which you do just by being here with your generous presence. I also wanted to just put in the chat, there's a link here. If you're able to offer a financial contribution, there's a link to do so. And then that's all I wanted to say about Dana, which you all are all aware of. And then we'll go ahead and dedicate the merit. I'll put the slide up.
Thank you, Raylan. Thank you. Zhangchu Sancho Rinpoche Ma Che Panam Che Jorchi Che Panyam Pa Me Paya Gong Ne Gong Du Pawa. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are fully illumined and awakened. Thank you, everyone.